June the 15th is going down, and one of the best fight cards that boxing has seen in a long, long time. But Frank Martin, who will be in the main event against the Gorilla, the Killer, Gervonta Tank Davis, opens up on how he's stepping on fight night. Yeah, he telling you exactly how he coming on fight night. We're going to talk about what Frank Martin had to say. But before we do that, make sure you hit my like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's cook on it. Frank Martin then found himself in a hell of an opportunity because he get in a fight with Tank. And this surprised a lot of people, especially because we know the whole situation that happened with Frank Martin and Shakur Stevenson. After that, a lot of people thought he didn't messed up. Ain't nobody gonna give him a chance after, doing the business that he did with Shakur and then pulling out of the fight. But it surprised everybody when he ended up getting the Gervonta Davis fight. And this is a fight that Shakur Stevenson and all of the top names at 135 been lobbying for, a fight with Tank. Now that Frank Martin has got this opportunity, he's looking to shock the world. And shock the world is exactly what Frank Martin is going to have to do on June the 15th for anybody to believe in him. Because I'm not talking about myself. Man, I like how Frank Martin is going about this whole situation. He looked like that he's serious. I don't take him as an opponent that just happy to be in the ring with Gervonta Davis and happy to get a paycheck. Nah, he seemed like he really coming in there to step. He really coming in there to get the victory, and he not going to be satisfied with anything less than a W. However, he got to get it. But after Frank Martin's last fight, people was counting Frank out. Frank didn't look too good in his last fight against Artrum. Now, Artrum will be fighting Shakur Stevenson, and Artrum gave Frank Martin his toughest fight to date. Frank Martin spoke on it. He said his two toughest fights was Jackson Marinez and his last opponent, Artrum. Now, Jackson Marinez fight, after I saw that, I was even like, Frank Martin ain't really who everybody's saying he is, because I remember when he fought Jackson Marinez, he was down in that fight. Jackson Marinez was giving Frank Martin hell. But one thing that Frank Martin did show in that Jackson Marinez fight, he showed that his power carries from round 1 all the way up to round 12, because I believe he got a 10th round knockout or 11th round knockout. I can't remember what it was. It was a very late knockout. And in that fight, he pretty much needed a knockout to get the W. And fast forward, he goes on to fight a couple more fights. And when he fought Michelle Rivera, everybody was very, very high on Frank Martin, saying that Frank Martin, he could even give Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson and all of these guys a run for their money. But like I said, when Frank Martin fought his last opponent, Artrum, everybody kind of stepped back away from Frank. It was like, well, maybe Frank ain't what we think he is, because Artrum gave him a very, very tough fight. And if it wasn't for Frank Martin dropping Artrum late, he might have would have lost that fight. But see, this is the thing, man. Just because we don't know an opponent don't mean that they're a Rudy Poo. It don't mean that they not like that. Artrum was an Olympic medalist in the same Olympics as Shakur Stevenson. He actually won an Olympic medal in a higher weight division than Shakur Stevenson. So Artrum, he been like that. For those who don't know, in order to medal in the Olympics, you got to be special, because you fighting all of the top fighters around the world to even make it to that spot. So I believe in that fight, it was just a case of fans not knowing who Artrum was. And Frank Martin, he was just in there with an opponent that was a lot better than he even thought would be, and he admitted it. But he also talked about his last fight with Artrum, right? He said he went in there trying to be patient and trying to box. And he said he ain't doing that no more. It ain't no patient and trying to box and wait it out. He said he coming in there against Gervonta Davis, and he's stepping from round 1. He's stepping. He said he gonna be on straight kill mode because this is the fight that he been looking for a long, long time. He's always felt like that he could beat Gervonta Davis, and now he in a position to where he gets to show and prove it. Now, going back to his last fight versus Archer, he spoke on it. And he says, man, in that fight, he had a lot of things going on and he was not 100%. He said in training camp, he wasn't able to run because anytime he tried to run, his knee was giving out. He said he had a knee injury that he had to deal with all through training camp. So, if you can't run, you're not in shape like you should be, right? And he admitted that. He said he wasn't in the best of shape. It was very hard for him to cut the weight. He says that he did not have a nutritionist, so he killed himself making weight. And he says running is something that he loves to do. He runs a lot. And when he wasn't able to do that, he just wasn't on his A game. But he promises coming into this Gervonta Davis fight, you gonna see a whole different Frank Martin than you saw in his last fight. Now, when he fought Archer, everybody thought we was going to see the Frank Martin that we seen against Michel Rivera. Now, I got to admit, I didn't see him putting a whooping on Michel Rivera like he did. I thought Michel Rivera had a high chance of beating Frank Martin, but I did pick Frank Martin to beat Rivera. But I thought Rivera would give Frank Martin a much tougher fight than he did, and Frank Martin went in there and dominated that fight. And that's a fight when we really got to see how good Frank Martin's footwork is. He put his footwork on display, he put his hands together, and he just showed the full package in that fight. On top of Michel Rivera, fell in the drug test. So Michel Rivera was on steroids and still got the itch beat out of him. I think that Frank Martin is a much more dangerous opponent than a lot of people giving him credit for, because I hear a lot of people talking and the masses ain't giving Frank Martin a chance to even really compete good against Gervonta Davis. I'm hearing 5th round knockout. I'm hearing 6th or 7th round knockout. And everybody just got Tank Davis steamrolling through Frank Martin. Even Shakur Stevenson said pretty much Gervonta gonna steamroll through this dude. He said Frank Martin ain't like that, and Tank Davis is definitely guaranteed to knock him out. Now, I don't agree with Shakur. I think that Frank Martin has a different type of focus and a different type of mentality going into this fight. A lot of people think that, Gervonta Davis already has Frank Martin scared and intimidated of him, but I don't think so. I think that Frank is just a cool, mellow, calm guy, and he just not going to crash out and blow his top. He going to let his actions speak inside of that ring. He don't really do all that talking. But, man, like I said, I'm waiting for this fight because I think this is going to be a much more competitive fight than a lot of people think. Frank Martin, he either can beat Gervonta Davis or give him a run for his money. I'm not telling y'all who I'm picking to win the fight yet, but when it gets closer to the fight, I'm going to give y'all my pick. But we can't count Frank Martin out. I just got a feeling we just can't count him out like that. So let's see if Frank Martin gonna do exactly what he said he was gonna do. Is Frank Martin gonna step as soon as that bell ring? You know what I'm saying? He said he's stepping and he coming to kill shit. Is he gonna be able to do it? Or is Frank Martin just gonna be another Gervonta Davis casualty and go to sleep? Let me know how y'all feel about this. Drop a comment in the comment section. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subbed. And y'all already know how I do. Diego talking that boxing again, and I'm gone.
So everybody see. You see the European grills, so the lips gliss. Tank full of Theraflu, cause I be in them shit whips. Brick slip.